Hi.
Hi, Amanda. How are you doing?
Good.
I'm so glad we were able to connect. I know we were supposed
I'm
to connect like earlier in the phases and
I'm just so happy. I'm so happy and I'm also just like, oh, I actually got nominated.
yes, I
Yeah.
know. Congratulations. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's so exciting. I had questions about other episodes, but I retailored them. But I did wonder if I could ask you a couple about your
Oh,
other
I would
episodes.
love, well, I also do think that my work on the pit, like there's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a hole.
So I was really impressed with the Honor Walk, the episode that you directed with the Honor Walk, and I was thinking about how this show is so it really relies on its background actors. There's so many background actors, and they stick around a lot. So what's it like working on a show that is really where the I mean the background actors are always crucial, but here I feel like even more crucial than a lot of shows.
Here they lived with us, right? So
Yeah.
they're really, and it's interesting because obviously the honor walk in episode 8, we have a lot of our background there and our real nurses and things like that. But it's interesting because it also ties into, because episode 12 is where we said goodbye to all of them
Oh yeah.
because everyone gets cleared out of the ER. So it was like it was really emotional for a lot of us because we wrapped all our background that had been there since we started filming.
Yeah.
Very few people were there. Like we have this one woman who was pregnant, but she had like a fake belly, and she just like was on the side of this hallway. And we don't allow phones on set on the pit. So, but we encourage like bring a book, right? So
Yeah.
she just kept books in her fake belly. And then in between takes, she would just be like, and then every day I'd be like, oh, what book are you on? Like, because she would get through so many books. And then we had another background actor one day. She was in a bed and we were like, "Oh, you're good. We don't see you, so you can go away." And she gets up and there's like a red medical waste garbage can, and she opens it up and lifts the garbage bag. She had hid her shoes under the garbage bag, like in the garbage though, and then put on her shoes and walked away. I was like, you know what I mean? Like she
Amazing.
knew the set well enough to be like, that's where I can hide my shoes, you
That's
know?
that's so great. I love that. The other question I wanted to ask you about is, you directed an episode where I think Santos and I think it's Dr. Garcia
Hmm.
meet. And there's such a weird vibe and energy from them. And I was wondering like what you think of that particular dynamic between them, because I thought it was so interesting.
Well, it basically like, Santos just really fucked that up.
Yeah, I know.
She could have had some fun, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
she's like, as far as Dr. Garcia is concerned, she's persona non grata, right? You turn somebody in like, mm-mm. So, I mean, that was really fun. It's also like we obviously have our regular cast on the show and they're all
Yeah.
phenomenal. And again, a lot of them are like theater actors or less experienced television actors, while also we have people like Catherine who are just like, where's the camera? You know what I mean? Where do you need
Yeah.
my eye? And you're like, right here,
Yeah.
lady. And but we had so many wonderful actors that got to come in and play smaller roles, but that were just as, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they helped make the show so amazing. It's also something I think that was really nice about filming the show in Los Angeles is that like there's a lot of really great actors there and we
Yes.
got them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering with that dynamic if you felt like, if it were a guy, if Dr. Garcia were a man, would it be weird for a man to be hitting on? I mean, I think
Mm.
I felt like that there was an energy there that like maybe it was romantic.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah.
there's a little flirtation.
Yeah.
I
And it
think
was, yeah.
I think it depends on each other's personality. Like if it was some
Yeah.
creepy dude creeping,
Yes.
that's no good. But you could have totally taken the male version of a Garcia that was like snappy and fun and a little like basically like I'm opening this door if you want to come through it.
Yeah.
That's it's about that energy and not necessarily like
Yes.
male female, right? So
Yeah.
then because you could get a woman too that was pretty. creepy.
Right.
And
Yes.
she's not. She's just like,
No,
like
it's just a little like, oh, what's going on? But then I also think it's funny that like people wanted, there was a scene where there's another doctor where they wanted Dr. Abbott with this other doctor. And that made me think, why do so many people, fans of the Pit, want people to hook up on this show?
I
And
just heard that there's like fan fiction. There's
oh
like
my
hit fan
gosh,
fiction.
it's nuts. And I was thinking, do you think this is like Grey's Anatomy syndrome? Like, what is it? And what are you guys doing? What are you, as directors, what are you doing to make everybody want to see them hook up?
Well, I think it's more, you know what it is? One, the show's just really well written. It's like
Yeah.
really well written. And so as directors, that just leaves us like, you're starting ahead,
Yeah.
right? And then it's also you love these characters, but you do not know that much about their lives, but you love them. So
Yeah.
I think as an audience, we're just like, we want you to have what we want, which is basically like sex and love.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's so interesting. Okay, now I'll start asking the questions about your nominated episode.
okay, okay.
Which there's so much movement in this episode, so
Mhm.
much to capture. How do you maintain such precision and yeah, like yeah, it's completely
I mean,
awe inspiring.
it's about being prepared and knowing what you're seeing, like knowing what it's about. Because there's like episode 112, I sort of talk about it like it's a tsunami of terror that's coming towards the hospital. And it was really important to make sure that that episode, like we knew we had done so many special soft, like so many things. We had all these, we felt the feels, in all these other episodes. And the thing I worried about with episode 12 was that it would just be almost like medical porn. Like it would just be so much about the
Yeah.
technical. And I worked really hard at making sure that we felt the terror and the horror of this through our doctors and through the people that it was happening to, through our patients, right? So, and then it was just about prepare. I mean, the prep of that kind of thing is there's a lot that goes into it, but it's also really, really fun. I mean, I love that part of my job. I absolutely love like I'm going to be looking this way. I'm going to see this. The bullet wound is going to be over there. I'll never go over there. This is going to, it's like it's math. I call it math. It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of math to directing.
Oh, wow. Then I count me out.
You know,
Did you do any research on how doctors prepare to treat mass shootings? Because I think I've seen some articles written about how like the fact that they knew exactly, okay, here's the color coding, here's what we're doing. They knew exactly what to do. Did you do any research on that?
well, I basically was handed a lot of research because our writers, so Dr. Joe and Scott, our showrunner, wrote that episode. And there is a mass shooting that happened in Vegas, that the festival, that basically the ER there, the guy who ran the ER had been preparing for something like that. And it's not directly based off of it, but they
Yeah.
really used that system that now a lot of people use it. And so it was really, and like I listened to the interviews and, there's a lot of what they went through because they saved a lot of people that if they hadn't done that, just people would have just died. It's just so many more people would have died. And so it's brutal. It's brutal. There's a lot of stuff I learned on the pit or even emails, like Dr. Joe would send an email and you would be like, I'm gonna open this later because there's gonna be something horrible in this.
Oh God. Langdon, on a positive note, Langdon returns in this episode. How did you want to approach his return with the camera? He's kind of, I feel like in the peripheral, and then it's like, oh God, he's back. But like,
Well,
what's
yeah,
gonna happen?
you really wanted to be from Noah's, from Dr.
Yeah,
Robbie's perspective. You wanted it to be like he, you're just finding him there, like he's doing what he thinks is right, and you just needed to reveal him. I mean, it's very a Superman moment. You know what I mean? I was
yeah.
really like, dun, 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 dun. It's Langdon, But it was important. It's important to like, nail that moment because you knew all of us are going to be like, oh my God, he's back,
We were all waiting for it too.
Yeah,
I mean, we were
yeah.
all waiting for it. There's also a really great scene where McKay's ex Chad enters the melee, so to speak, and is hit with the reality of the situation. And it really humanizes him. I know you didn't write this episode, obviously, but do you think like why is Chad like the perfect character for this moment?
I think one, because we've seen him already and we don't like him. And
Yeah,
and he's caused problems for McKay. Like we know McKay has problems because of him and we love McKay, right? Like
yeah,
so if you can feel something through somebody that you don't like, that's important. You know what I mean? So you
yeah,
see him and you see what he sees and you see through his eyes and it's just like, holy shit. So that in that way, I think it's more interesting than if I'm like some sweet person that you love is like, oh my
yeah.
God, you know.
Yeah, did you do anything differently with that moment to kind of, yeah, since it is a little bit different, it is kind of like, a bystander kind of, he's a patient.
I just kept thinking of it as like I wanted to make it feel like he was coming around the corner, like it was like the tsunami had already hit our cast, and I wanted
Yeah.
it to feel, I wanted to see that hit him again, just the wall of terror, basically.
Yeah. I called these three episodes like the trilogy and the Pitt trilogy, and you kicked it off. You're the first director of the like three mass shooting episodes, I guess. What was it like to be the one to kick it off? And did you work with the other directors or like what was the collaboration like in general?
Well, I mean, John Wells set up a great environment. And then so because I had done episode two, which also in a way was
Yeah,
like setting up, like John handed it off, and then it was my
yeah,
job to sort of get, like keep you like, okay, here, like because you're just off to the races, basically.
yeah,
And so I had known all season that that was going to happen in episode 12. And I had almost sort of like after I finished episode four, I started, and then obviously episode eight was brutal as well. That's the little girl,
yeah,
so I knew I had to get through that, which involved a lot. And then it really was like setting up the system for how we were going to prep it. Nina, our production designer, built me a model of the set so that I could place all of our gurneys and do everything for every single scene because, we can't, the set is occupied all the time. It's
yeah,
not like, I'm currently in Atlanta making a show and we have our main set, but like they're not on that set that much. They're off on location, so I can go over there and prep something.
yeah,
But that's the Pit, you're like they're always there, you know?
yeah,
So as a director to prep it, you sort of we walk it at lunch basically, but episode 12 needed a lot more than that. And so Nina built me this model and it was awesome. And then we just placed everything and prepped that way. And then we made booklets basically for all of our second seconds on set to know like patient number five in pink is here in this scene and in that scene they're taken away. And then this person's here in this scene and then they're taken away. And then this is there. It was a giant puzzle. It was
that is
fun.
a lot of math involved in a
It was
lot
a
of
ton of math. I
geometry.
always joke that I went to art school thinking that I hated math. I was like, I'm going to art school. I'm studying fine art. And then now I'm like, oh, I do math all day, every day.
That's so funny. This is such a challenging show to shoot, obviously, but what is the most challenging aspect of working on the Pit?
Um, oh, I think the most challenging aspect is to make sure that you don't get lost in the sort of like technical medical aspect of the show and you make
Yeah,
sure that you're always like getting to the core of what every scene is about, which is always emotional.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so that's kind of the bringing it back to center, and the center is like how we feel.
yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Of
I'm so glad
course.
that you were nominated. Congratulations. I'm glad we finally were
Thanks.
able to talk and I got to ask some
Oh,
of the questions I've had for a while now.
I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Well, here's hoping for a win. We'll keep your fingers crossed. So,
Thank you. Thank
okay.
you. It was
Thank you
such a
so much.
pleasure.
Such a pleasure talking to you too.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.